不中啊！你看，给我八卦已经不行了。喂，瞅瞅我呀！
不要讲了。
On Thursday, the Chinese central city of Zhengzhou, capital of Henan Province, took the unprecedented step of suspending all outdoor work across the city. The decision came as authorities raised a high-level alert in response to the intensifying flood emergency. As rainfall continued to batter the region, the Henan Flood Control and Drought Relief Headquarters announced an upgrade in emergency response status, moving from Level 4 to Level 3, a sign of the escalating risk to lives, infrastructure and the local economy. This response wasn't limited to just warnings. Mandatory measures were swiftly implemented. These included the complete suspension of industrial production, closure of businesses and schools, shutdown of public transportation, and a ban on all outdoor activities. The city essentially ground to a halt. Authorities hoped that by halting movement and reducing public exposure, they could limit casualties and manage the chaos brought on by torrential rains. Zhongyuan district, one of Zhengzhou's urban hubs, recorded over 90 millimeters of rainfall in a matter of hours, and forecasts indicated that even more extreme weather was on the horizon. Thunderstorms, strong gusts of wind, and unrelenting downpours were expected to continue sweeping across the city and surrounding regions in the coming days. What makes this particular weather event so dangerous is the overlapping impact of recent storms. The soil is already saturated. Drainage systems are overwhelmed. The cumulative effect is a brewing disaster. The Henan Flood Control Headquarters emphasized that the current rainfall is prolonged, intense and continuous, exacerbating already fragile conditions. When rainfall of this magnitude hits urban infrastructure ill-equipped to handle it, it leads to catastrophic urban waterlogging, a major concern in cities like Zhengzhou. Officials have been directed to strictly follow early warning protocols. Particular attention is being paid to areas deemed highly vulnerable. These include mountain torrent zones, geological hazard regions, small and aging reservoirs, and dense urban centres. The situation is being monitored minute by minute. City planners and emergency managers are also tasked with closely observing infrastructure risks, especially in low-lying neighbourhoods, drainage networks, bridges, tunnels, and older residential zones. These areas are susceptible to waterlogging, landslides, and structural failures. With such widespread risks, emergency teams must remain on high alert, ready to respond to any signs of collapse, overflow, or displacement. The goal is to detect, report, and respond to threats early, the headquarters stated. Every hour counts when protecting lives and reducing property damage. Across the province, shelters have been opened and relief units mobilized. Residents in high-risk areas have been advised or, in some cases, ordered to evacuate to safer locations. Volunteers, community workers and army units are being deployed for swift action. While Henan remains the current epicenter of flooding in central China, it is far from the only province affected. In a worrying parallel, Inner Mongolia, located in the northern part of the country, also issued a Level 4 emergency response on Thursday, this time due to severe flooding conditions in several counties. China's National Commission for Disaster Prevention confirmed the alert and immediately dispatched assistance through the Ministry of Emergency Management. The ministry sent a dedicated disaster relief team to Inner Mongolia to assist local authorities in emergency operations, damage assessments, and the provision of essential services to those displaced or cut off by floodwaters. In a coordinated national effort, 47,000 units of emergency supplies, including tents, foldable beds, blankets, and cold-weather clothing, were shipped to flood-affected areas. These were distributed under a joint initiative by the Ministry of Emergency Management and the National Food and Strategic Reserves Administration, reflecting the scale of disruption and the pressing needs of displaced families. Disasters of this scale leave more than just soaked cities and stranded residents. They result in massive economic losses and long-term infrastructure damage. Recognizing this, the National Development and Reform Commission has already stepped in with financial support. The organization allocated 80 million yuan, approximately $11 million, for immediate recovery and reconstruction efforts in Inner Mongolia alone. The funding is aimed at restoring core public services, repairing damaged water supply systems, fixing transport routes, rebuilding schools, and ensuring medical services remain operational. These funds are just the beginning of what is expected to be a long and costly recovery. With urban flooding events becoming more frequent and intense across China in recent years, experts are urging for long-term reforms in urban planning, drainage system upgrades, and improved flood resilience in major cities. This year's flooding comes as part of a growing pattern of climate-linked extreme weather events affecting China. From flash floods in Chongqing to typhoons battering the eastern coast, the country is seeing more erratic and dangerous weather systems, many scientists believe, due to the warming climate. Urban centres like Zhengzhou, which was also devastated by record-breaking floods in July 2021, are particularly vulnerable. In 2021, more than 300 people lost their lives in Henan's floods, and more than 14 million people were affected. The city's subway system flooded, trapping passengers underwater. Roads collapsed. Entire neighbourhoods became islands. Although steps have been taken since then, such as improving drainage and increasing flood monitoring systems, Thursday's events prove that the region is still on a knife's edge when it comes to handling high rainfall events. Residents in Zhengzhou shared scenes of rising waters, cars submerged in underpasses, and emergency crews wading through chest-high floods to rescue stranded individuals. Some schools had already switched to remote learning. Streets, once bustling with life, were eerily empty, now dominated by flashing emergency lights, sandbags, and barricades. "We're used to heavy rains here in summer, but not like this. It's coming too fast and there's nowhere for the water to go," one shopkeeper in Zhongyuan said. "We just hope the government is prepared this time." Emergency hotlines across the city reported thousands of distress calls, ranging from flooded homes to missing family members. Many elderly and disabled residents faced difficulties evacuating without assistance. As Henan Province faces down yet another historic flood, China is once again forced to examine its disaster preparedness systems, infrastructure resilience, and the broader consequences of climate variability. For cities like Zhengzhou and regions like Inner Mongolia, these floods are not isolated incidents. They are part of a broader national crisis that demands urgent, long-term solutions. In the coming days, the focus will shift from emergency response to damage control, rebuilding, and prevention. But for now, as the rain continues to pour and the rivers rise, millions of Chinese citizens are being reminded of nature's power and the human cost of being unprepared.